Y'all know what it is. Hey everybody, I'm Ryan and welcome back to Eggs. Today's special guest is CEO and founder of Strategy Sprints, Simon Severino. Simon helps the owners of SaaS and service businesses learn how to run their companies more efficiently, resulting in sales that soar. He created the Strategy Sprints method that doubles revenue in just 90 days by getting owners out of the weeds and helping clients rapidly gain market share using weekly sprints. He's also a Forbes Business Council member, a contributor to Entrepreneur Magazine, and a member of Duke Corporate Education. Joining us today for a conversation about doubling your profitability in just 90 days, how to build a fast and responsive company using sprints, identifying and exploiting new competitive advantages, and so much more. Please join us in welcoming to the show, Simon Severino. Hey, Simon, how are you, man?
Excited to be here. Hello, everybody.
Absolutely. I'm absolutely thrilled to have this conversation. We were talking a little bit just prior to recording. We actually had tried to have this conversation sometime last year. I want to say maybe September, October, or something like that. For scheduling reasons, we weren't able to complete it at that time, so we rebooked. But my God, so much has happened in your life since the time that we actually booked this thing. So maybe let's start kind of in the beginning. How did you get into this line of work? What do you do? And then we'll expand from there.
So 20 years ago, I was a junior consultant, then consultant, senior consultant, junior project manager, senior project manager, principals of a global consultancy. And then I started on my own doing consultancy, helping people with go-to-market. I picked one topic because I was one of 100,000 people. And so I had to pick what I stand for. I picked one topic. I said, okay, go-to-market strategy. That's my topic. And that changed everything. I sticked to that topic, and now it's 18 years later, and I've been doing only this one thing, helping entrepreneurs with go-to-market. And so we coach them one-to-one, and that one-to-one has become a program, and it's now a global program, and there are different cohorts. But really, I've just been doing one thing the last 20 years, and helping people with sales and marketing.
Well, it's funny. And, I really admire it because, for some people, they might look at this like, oh, my God, he's just been doing the same thing all this time. But, you always hear this, right? The niches are where things are at. Like, really, it is in picking, your niche and trying to understand what it is that you do that makes you special. So can you talk a little bit about that? I think a lot of people, especially for young entrepreneurs, it's really difficult to pick the thing, right? Unless you start a business based on maybe your trade, you're a welder, so you begin welding. If you start a business for almost any other reason, you're wearing many hats, so how do you sort of choose the hat to wear?
You will realize quite soon when you start a business that you become the bottleneck. You become the plateau. You become the reason why the thing cannot grow, and you become the reason why you cannot charge more, and you become the reason why actually it's stopping from unfolding. And so when I got there, I hired a business coach, and my business coach told me, Simon, we have to get you 2 layers above fulfillment. And I was like, what is fulfillment? And he said, well, the delivery, the coaching. You're a coach, you coach. I should stop coaching? I'm a coach. And he go, yeah, but somebody has to work on the business of business. And I said, oh, you are right. And that should be me. So he said, we're going to free up time, Simon, 10 hours per week, and you will work on the business of business. You will do affiliate marketing, branding, hiring, scaling, all that stuff. And I said, well, it sounds good. Let's try. And a couple of years later, I fired myself from fulfillment. And that was probably the best thing that I ever did. And it wasn't even that hard. It sounds so hard, like you fire yourself from fulfillment. It wasn't hard at all. And now I have 40 hours per week time to really grow the business. And of course, I coach the coaches now. So every Monday, we all come together and we go through all clients, marketing numbers, sales numbers, ops numbers of every client. So I'm still involved. I know what's going on, but I don't spend 40 times in the projects. I spend them on the business.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a great insight. This idea that you need to take yourself out of production, this concept. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel it, but maybe to admit it to themselves that they are the bottleneck is actually kind of a struggle. It's really difficult to sort of recognize that you're actually the problem here. And so being able to take that next step, in your case, you had a coach or you had a mentor, but where do you think that people could find this sort of knowledge on their own? Because, you hear these things all the time, the idea of niching down or the idea that you need to hire work done and work on your business, not work in the business. You hear these sort of, I don't know, these phrases colloquially, people say them out loud, but people still just don't do it. How come people aren't following through?
Look, when I want to do something that's bigger, I hire a coach. So when I did run my first half marathon, I hired a marathon coach. When I did run my first triathlon, I hired a triathlon coach. And so when I wanted to scale my business, I hired a business coach. And I couldn't do it on my own because it's not enough to hear something somewhere. It's a really process of inner work and outer work. The inner work is making you ready to let go some parts and to be ready to hold more weight in other parts. That's the inner work. You have to let go of specific behaviors so that you are ready to hold more weight with the hands that you have now free. But you have to free them up. That's the inner work. That's where you need this conversation with a really good coach. The second part, the external work, is it will take you forever if you don't have blueprints. So you'd better find a coach who has done it themselves, who runs a business where he doesn't coach, and he asks him for the blueprints. And for example, we do this. The Strategy Sprints University is 274 blueprints. My blueprints, I share them with my clients. They are all consultants, coaches themselves. And, they don't need to reinvent the wheel. They take my blueprints and get done much faster. Otherwise, if it takes you 3 years, like it took me, then yeah, you can lose energy, you can get distracted, it doesn't work, you burn out, or you run out of cash. Because of course, in the transition, you will have less productivity because everybody's doing something new. You are doing something new, they're doing something new. So you will have a lesser good sales month if you don't have the blueprints. That's why I highly recommend get a coach who really has done it, has the blueprints, and you get quickly through that transition. And that's how I did it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too. I think for a lot of small business owners, especially, it seems that process comes later in the game, right? Most of us, and maybe I'm speaking from my own experience and letting things out of the bag, but it seems like, for a lot of us, especially if we started out with a trade. So in my case, I run a graphic design marketing shop, and my trade has basically been creative direction or art direction all these years. In my case, I started the business with a trade, right? So I didn't develop processes and I didn't develop, scaffolding that this business is built on. Instead, it was built with me in the center. And, back to your earlier comment about being the bottleneck. And so in terms of finding these blueprints, I mean, in your case, you were able to, I guess, find them through this coach, and this coach was able to share his blueprint with you. Do you have advice for the small business person? Maybe they don't feel quite ready, or maybe they don't have the finances yet to actually hire a full-time coach. Do you mind talking about just the importance of process?
Absolutely. So if you cannot afford a coach, you can download half of my templates on strategysprints.com. They're open source. Start there. And to the question of an agency, and if you're creative and if you're feeling like hey, but I am the creative engine here. I cannot possibly scale creativity. That's what I do, right? That's me. Think of very creative people, like, for example, Stefan Sagmeister in New York. He's an Austrian. He's now in New York. And so when he started because he is creative. But now he has not just an agency, just a full team of people in his lab in New York. And when you call and say, hey, I want a website that looks like Stefan Sagmeister, you will get it. You will get that style, that spirit, exactly what you came for. You came for that creativity and for that edge, and you will get it. but he will not be involved in your project, right? He might maybe pass by once at the beginning of the project. I don't know exactly how he operates, but I'm sure he will not build your website. They will deliver exactly the spirit, exactly the impact, exactly what you wanted them to deliver. So we think that we are in the center of it, but we are not. The impact is in the center of it. We are more in the way of it being accomplished. What they really want is a website that converts, or a funnel that rocks, or that's what they want. They don't want a single person, a single name. They trust you because you are a real person, and so that's why they come to you. But the delivery process doesn't need you in the middle. It's better if you are around it, making sure, like a gardener, that everything is in place and that every plant has water and has light and nothing is blocking.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I love the example of Stefan Sagmeister, by the way, just because he happens to be one of my favorites. So I love his stuff, and his business is certainly one that I think a lot of creative folks sort of envy. So really cool to point him out. I wanted to maybe get into next, just sort of talking a little bit about your process. And I know one of the things that you guys do, and I mean, it's in the name of the business, is sprints. And for a lot of people who aren't familiar with sprints, they're really well known for being an aspect of, more agile companies or technology type companies. They use it in software development and other things like that. But I wanted to talk to you, first of all, about sprints and have you just sort of explain to the audience, what sprints are as you use them. And then also, are they, can you use them if you're outside of the software business? Do they work in, traditional types of businesses as well?
Sure. So the smallest sprint is like the Pomodoro technique. You do something, then you have a break, then you do something, then you have a break, and you do something, then there's a break. We use weekly sprints. They are a little bit bigger, and they are about how you run a company. And so how do you run a company with this technique of doing something and then doing nothing, and then doing something and then doing nothing? So the first thing is you divide work in time. So you say, okay, for us, 7 days is one sprint. And we always do 12 sprints in a cycle. So it's 3 months, 3 goals, 3 numbers that we measure every 7 days. And every week has one bottleneck that we need to solve. For example, let's say you are an agency and say, okay, what do you want to achieve in 3 months? A typical client of us says, okay, I want to double my revenue, I want to reduce my costs, and I want to have happier clients. All right, let's define it. What does happier mean? Will they refer 3 more people per week to you? Will they answer from 1 to 10 that they are going to refer to you? Will they answer from 1 to 10 that they are happy and 10 is happiest? So we define it, and then we create a dashboard for these 3 numbers. And those numbers, you will have them in front of you, real-time dashboard. That's really what the strategy sprints method is about. And you will always see what is current, what is target, what's the gap. So the whole team is aligned. And now you're like a basketball team, because a basketball team always knows, all right, this is what we want. We want the ball to get in there and we want to score. And we know exactly who's doing what, right? You're on the right side, I'm on the left side, you're in front, I'm back. That's what we do, right? Let's do it. And so if you create these circumstances, now every team becomes a high performance team. That's just from my 20 years of seeing many projects that don't work and some projects that work. And I just collected the single elements that really work and put them together in the strategy sprints method. So the first thing is very clear, 3 goals and 3 numbers, real time, always visually in front of you. Are you winning? Are you not winning? What's next? Then it's aligning the team. We have 1 person, the business owner, 1 person from operations, 1 from marketing, 1 from sales. That's the sprint team. And then they get the sprint coach 24/7 for 90 days. That's like Spider-Man and his friend. Spider-Man is in action. And I love the new movie where Spider-Man is super young and super excited. And he's fighting all the time, right, in action. And he has no time to think. And so he says, but he has his friend who is the guy in the chair. And he asks him, hey, should I kick the left door or the right door? And his friend says, give me a second. Kick the left door. So that's what a sprint coach is. It's the guy in the chair. We are your guy in the chair. You are in action. You don't have time to analyze. And we help you. We build the blueprints. We make it easy for you so that you can take your 6, 7, 8, 9 decisions per day and take them in a way that move you really forward. And that's why they can double revenue, because they don't have to stop and analyze and overthink. They can stay in action and move the ball forward.
Okay. So in the framework of the, strategy sprints methodology, so can we talk just a little bit more about the goal setting component? So obviously, I mean, one of the big pitches that you guys put out there is this W revenue in 90 days sort of metric. But I mean, what other types of goals should people be setting? And the reason I'm asking is it's more, or what I'm curious about, I guess, is this, concept of maybe biting off too much or not biting off enough, and then how you sort of adapt with sprints. So if you've bitten off too much, can you adjust and so on?
If I had to decide, I have goals or I have a process, I would always go for process. Because if you have a goal and then everything changes, what's good about that goal? Nothing. So pre-pandemic, I had goals of being on 300 stages per year. Well, didn't happen. The goal doesn't help me at all. But if I have a process of goal setting, which is helpful, then, okay, pandemic wipes away all my stages. All right, but I have a process to orient, adapt, and move forward. That's why process is so much more important than goals. And the process, I mean, how you set up goals, how you visualize the progress, and how you learn every 7 days from action. So it's action, learning, new action, learning, new action, learning, new action. That's the important loop. And that needs to be real time, latest every 7 days. One problem that I see out there is people get those information every month. So for example, if I ask right now the listeners, this week, how many unique visitors were on your website? How many of them want to really work with you? And how many of them should your team call? 90% of the people listening right now cannot answer that. If you cannot answer that, you are flying blind. What the hell are you doing? This is the all important thing. Who wants work from you? And who is calling them? So for example, that's a typical lack of marketing numbers. And even the best teams, we are working with the coolest teams in San Francisco, in Singapore, in London. Even the coolest teams, I ask them this simple question and they say, well, we'll get this information in 1 month from our CRM. So why do you even use a CRM if it doesn't give the info right now, right? You don't have to take these traditions from 1984 and move them forward, where you would take 1 decision per month. We are in 2022. You take 8 decisions per day, and you want to take decisions based on your reality. Your reality is how many people were on the website, how many people want something from you right now, and who is going to call them, and how do you convert them into a project, and how do you get out of the way so that you can get more projects in.
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, and I really love this process over goal idea. I have heard, we've been doing the show for a long time. We've interviewed more than 200 people for this show, and goals come up all the time, right? You've got to set a goal. You have to know where you're going, so this idea of flying blind, right? Oh, I'm not flying blind. I have a goal. But I think this concept of putting process ahead of the goal is actually, it's pretty innovative, and it's actually the first time I've heard that. So thanks so much for that. I wanted to add on to that, or sort of, pivot off of it with the trying to understand, how do you deal with these blockers? And what I'm taking from what you just said. So this idea, you ask this simple question: how many people are coming to your website, and how many of those people want to do business with you? So, and like you said, most people can't answer that. So for me, all of a sudden in my head, I'm going, okay, well, I was on a track, which was, figure out how to talk to these people. Now I've been told I don't know who they are, and I recognize that I don't know who these people are. And now I'm blocked. Now I can't move forward. Now I need to go and dig in the trenches and get into Google Analytics and see if I can come up with a number. And now I'm off track. So how does the sprint process sort of adapt, I guess, when you get off the rails?
So 12 times per week, we have the chance to course correct if we would be off rail. That's why it works, because when you have 12 times the chance to course correct, it's a high probability that you will get it right. That's why we measure and adapt so often. So in this case, you would say, okay, I don't know. Well, that's the task for the next 4 hours is to install something that tells you exactly that. And it doesn't take more than 30 minutes to do it. It's a zap in Zapier, and it sends to your whatever, to your Slack or to your email. It says, this person was on your website and wants something. It costs $9. It takes us half an hour to implement on your website. And it's just the first idea that comes to my mind. So all these things are pretty simple. All the strategies and tactics that we implement are very simple. You just need to do them. And they are completely tool agnostic. Nobody needs to upgrade any software. Well, I just said Zapier. Yeah, but it's not really complicated software. It's just something that tells you something is going on.
Right. And then this is the value of the coach, right? Is the coach is there to give you that tactical advice. So if you don't know how to do it, which is why you haven't been tracking these people, then it would be the responsibility of the coach to, I guess, sort of give you some direction on that front.
We have 274 tactics, which are really blueprints, swipe copies, very practical templates. And we have 3 strategies that we implement and 3 habits, because a tool with a fool is still a fool. A fool with a tool is still a fool. Like, you can have the best blueprint, but it's not based on the right strategy, then it's just not working. So that's why we start with strategies, and we have 3 strategies. One is increasing by 25% the frequency of your sales by reducing the sales time. The second one is increasing by 25% your conversion rate with the same amount of leads. And the third one is increasing by 25% the amount that you can charge for your offer. And that's what we achieve in 90 days. And if you compound those 3 plus 25%, it makes plus 99% because they compound. And now you have doubled your revenue, and it's not even hard. The only thing is just to do it. And so to do it, that's where the coach comes in, because they give you the confidence to trust really the process. Because if you do it alone, you go, what if this doesn't work? No, let me start 4 other things in case this doesn't work. But if you have a coach who says, hey, I did this 100 times, this is what you do this week, then you can go, okay, I trust the process. Let me trust the process. I jump into it. And that's the basic dynamic of every teacher relationship, right? And of every, evolution and in exploration. So these are the 3 strategies. And with these 3 strategies, we check against every project or activity. Does it increase frequency? No. Okay. Does it increase the price? No. Does it increase the conversion rate? No. Okay. Why are we doing it? That's how we focus. For these 90 days, we will get one thing doubled. Can be one product, one offer, or one market. We will just improve every single part of that, from the beginning stage, awareness, to engagement, to making them ready, to closing the deal, to retaining.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that's a really smart approach, clever way of approaching things. I did want to talk to you though. So you mentioned, with these strategies, you're increasing engagement 25%, you're moving people down the funnel, you're doing all these things. What if you don't have a funnel? So like, at what point are you when is the right time to engage with a group like yours? Is there a time that we're too green, or could we really join forces with somebody like you really from the beginning?
We have 2 programs. One is if you are below 35K per month, then that's the kicker that gets you to 35K per month. And if you are at 35K per month, we double you to 70. These are the 2 programs, and it's very different, the activities that we need to do in each camp. But okay, let's say I don't have a funnel. I start from scratch. I have a concept. Well, it's the same thing. Who is it for? How can we solve those problems? Where can we bring them? And let's say we have just 3 people that we're working with. All right, we will move it from there. We will solve their problem. We will save what's working. That becomes the first module of your later productized services. And then we will ask them for testimonials. We will have 3 testimonials on the website. We create with their exact words, the sales script for the sales team. From those 3, we get referrals. And we move in onion rings around it from 3 to 9 to 18. This is how we would do it if we just have 3 people that we are talking to.
Okay. So in the sense or in the aspect of lead generation and things like that, is that something that you guys provide, or would you be coaching a business owner how to get their own leads, for example?
We don't think in leads. We think in relationships. So as soon as we hear leads, we feel like, what's going on here? This is so transactional. Like, we think of friends talking to friends and really caring about something. So I would never say that my wife is a lead or my kids are a prospect, right? So I wouldn't say why, because it's a real relationship. We don't talk that way. And so in the strategy sprints method, we just see people and relationships, and either you care about them and you want to solve their problems or not. And if you care about them, then it's just conversation. So we always ask, okay, how many conversations did you have this week? What did you want to solve? What was the gap? What do we learn from it? What do we build? What do we ship? Pretty simple. And so it's all about conversations and deepening that relationship if we really care. If we don't really care, then we have to go back to positioning and to offering, because then we are on the wrong path. So we have to find something that we really care about and where we're good at. And then again, we start with 3, 9, 18, and we move it forward.
All right. Yeah, no, fair enough. Next thing I want to do is sort of pivot just a little bit. So there's a phrase that you use a lot in your marketing. I saw it all over your website, and it's in your bio and other places. This idea of financial freedom. You mentioned that you had grown your business to the point where you found financial freedom, and now a big part of your work is helping others find their financial freedom. This is something that I pitch a lot to, this concept of helping people find their freedom through investing and things like that. And I wonder if you wouldn't talk a little bit about just what financial freedom meant to you. So, because I think everybody's looking for this catch-all, oh, when I hit $1 million or when I do whatever. But I think that financial freedom can actually mean something totally different to just about everybody. And so I'm curious what it meant to you, what financial freedom meant to you, and then how you then translate this idea of financial freedom to the people you work with.
Oh, yeah, this is something I became passionate about lately because of what the Fed did, right? This was not from the beginning my topic. My topic was just how do you build revenue systems. But I'm also a father of 3, and I'm also a citizen whose Fed has started printing like berserk. And so they're basically stealing 15% inflation from me right now as we are speaking, and from you. So if you work, you are not accumulating value. You need also to protect that value. And now if you're an entrepreneur, you have treasury, cash flow management and treasury, and you have investment systems. And okay, maybe 10 years ago, you could get away with just working and saving was enough. It's not enough anymore. If you now have money on your bank account, it's melting like an ice cube. Officially, inflation rate 7%, the real one 15%, and it's growing. US debt alone, I think, is 30 trillion. It's a number that I cannot even grasp. That's how big. A trillion, million, billion, trillion. It's incredible. It's such a huge number. So if you have wealth and if you have a business and that business is generating profits, you are losing it right now if you don't invest it. That's how important this became over the last year when they started just giving away money that they don't have. And by that, debasing all of your monies. Everybody who's listening here, they're debasing your money right now. And so I started a new channel, a YouTube channel, where every day I just tell people, look, this is what you have to do. You have to buy equities. You have to buy crypto. This is how you do fundamental analysis. This is how you do technical analysis. And if you don't do that, in 10 years, you are out of the middle class. Yeah, and that's not funny.
No, well, and it's an incredible time. And it's funny, you recognize that over this period of time. I did as well. And I actually, at my age, I just got into like investing seriously last year. Now pivoting and trying to figure out how to navigate it, I guess more effectively. And for me, a big part of it was retirement planning. I've been self-employed my whole career. I don't have a 401k. I don't have the things that, you get if you work in an organization, for example. And so now at 40, which is, of course, I'll take the irresponsibility factor, but, but at 40, now I'm trying to figure out how to get this thing done and get caught up for retirement in what is now becoming a pretty rough market or a pretty rough economy. And I'm trying to be prepared to retire, early and be able to enjoy my youth as much as I can. And so, with maybe a 10 or 15 year runway for retirement. And so I'm spending a lot of time on this subject as well. And in fact, that's one of the things I mentioned to you before the show is I've been discovering your new content that I think is doing a really good job sharing these new concepts with people. So maybe we could talk a little bit about sort of investing and how people should be doing that. And so, and primarily for the self-employed. So these are the people, not unlike me, that are maybe late into a career where they've been doing their job as their business for 20 years. Now they need to start savings because, maybe they're like me and they're tired of standing in front of a computer screen 20 hours a day. And it's time to start, I guess, growing up. So, but how do we do that today, right? Because a lot of the traditional methods aren't the same as they used to be.
Oh, this is such an important thing to talk about. First of all, you need assets that appreciate. So 10 years ago, the best idea would be to buy real estate. Now it's too late. So what can you buy now? Gold is doing nothing. Silver is doing nothing. You need equities and you need some crypto exposure. And so, for example, you need a basic portfolio allocation. My allocation is 20% real estate, 35% equities, 35% stocks, 10% cash. And in some periods, I want 20% cash just before a bear market because I want to buy when things are cheap. So you have to learn how to construct a portfolio, these percentages, how to decide which buckets you want to have, how much risk, how much protection. And the goal is really, if you need to build wealth, then you have to go in a few titles with full conviction, 3 stocks, 3 cryptos, full conviction. If you want to protect wealth, you need a diversified basket. And so depending on how old you are and what the goal is, you have to construct your portfolio. And I teach this on my channel, how you construct your portfolio. This next thing is, okay, which assets to pick? For example, the 3 stocks, the 3 crypto, which one should I take? How do I find the winners? That's what we call fundamental analysis. And so in the stocks, it's easy because you have the earnings reports. I have a 10 minutes video how you do fundamental analysis on them. It's easy. In the crypto, it's a bit more complicated. There was nothing. I created something for myself and I'm sharing this on the channel. It's 9 steps, how you find out what a solid crypto asset is, because 99% of them are not. So find the solid ones and with fundamental analysis. And then the next question is, okay, now that I know, okay, these are good stocks to have and good cryptos to have, when should you buy? When should you sell? This is now where technical analysis comes in. And even if technical analysis, it's just backwards. So I like to say that it's astrology for men. So it's not really a science. But also fundamental analysis is not really a science. Fundamental analysis is subjective, but it tells you something about forward. And technical analysis is objective, but it tells you only something about backwards. So none of those is enough to take good decisions. That's why you need a system. You need a system where either every day or every week or every month, depending on how much time you want to put in and how much time you have to put in. I'm spending 1 hour per day just with my investments. I research stocks and cryptos. I put them on my buy list. I have a buy price, a sell price, and I rebalance every Sunday so that I have this 35%, 20%, 10%. That's what I do. And since I'm learning a lot, I'm sharing it every day on my channel, which is called Simon Severino on YouTube. I'm sharing just the journey. Hey guys, this is what I found. Because I want all my friends to be economically free and not victim of circumstances that they haven't chosen.
Yeah. Well, and that's been one of the points of this other channel or this other show that I'm doing too, in addition to the work we do here at Eggs with so many business leaders and CEOs, is this concept of, playing sort of the long-term game and understanding that fundamentally things are a little bit different than they were. So if you're only in securities, for example, you might buy and hold, like maybe that's your strategy, right? You buy this thing and you hold it for a long time. Well, with cryptos, maybe that's not always the best plan. Stuff tends to move kind of a lot. And, people like me even, who sort of bought into cryptos and sort of an older mentality. I bought it and I held, and then I missed all the profits that could have been taken in November. And now we're at the bottom of the barrel again, and to your point about asset allocation, had I cashed out, I could have reinvested that cash now at a much lower level and doubled or done better with my investment. And so I think your point about being active and actually spending time, dedicating time to this is really important. Just like we would with our business, if investing is going to be a big part of our financial lives, either in the future or, for retirement's sake, or just even now, I think it makes a lot of sense to make that just a part of your day.
Absolutely. And so one part is thinking, okay, what do you want to really hold long term? And what is more of a trade that is short term, maybe a year or under a year, and you want to get in and out, in and out, in and out with their swings. For example, Bitcoin, I just want to hold forever. That's for my kids and their kids. But Ethereum, Solana, Luna, Phantom, I'm just buying when they are cheap, and I will sell them when they are around the peak. You never exactly pick the absolute peak, but it's good enough. If you miss a little bit of that peak, it's still enough to get out and to recircle back your profits into the long-term holds. Same thing with my stocks. I've been living from Tesla, Amazon, and Google over the last decade, and but I sell Tesla every time it doubles. I sell half of it. So I bought Tesla at 300. I sold at 600. I sold half, and I kept the initial game in the initial investment in, but it was de-risked because I got it out again. And then what kept running, because I knew from fundamental analysis that Tesla is here to stay. It's going to dominate. And so those 300 doubled again, became 600. I took half out, became 1,200 in November. I took 12.5% out. And when they will double again, I will again put half of 12.5% out. That's one example how investing is not a single trade. It is a system for decision making and for building wealth and protecting wealth over time. That's important.
Yeah, I think that over time component is especially important. I think that, if you pay attention to the news or you listen to what's going on in the media, it sounds like people are becoming millionaires, like everybody, you just throw a little money at Bitcoin and you're a millionaire now. And I think it's changed the way that people view a lot of investment. They think that shorter term is like the way, and it's not this idea of building. It's you YOLO everything into something that you think is going to do well, and then you just walk away. And I suppose that's happened a time or two. People have had these kind of windfalls, but at the same time, I think to try and call that fundamental investing strategy is probably wrong.
Most people lose money with trades. And most people lose money with investments. That's why you really need a system and you need practice, and you will get better over months and over years. Your first decisions will be just based on luck. and then you learn, right? And you will see for the first time how your wealth melts by 80%, and you will learn a lot, and you will improve. You will have more protection in your allocation. And then I differentiate 6 stages of an investor, and I wrote a blog on strategysprints.com/blog. You can read about the 6 stages in investing, and I describe how I went through all of them and what I learned in a tough way. And I think this is important. You cannot skip and go directly to the moon. It's just a system of becoming better with decision making and with analyzing.
Well, and speaking of decision making, I mean, you mentioned 99% of crypto projects are, not probably fundamentally sound. They're not going to end up being these coins that carry us into the future. not asking you to look too deeply into a crystal ball, but do you have any recommendations for what you think the future will actually hold, even if it's more technology based than it is, coin based?
Absolutely. So a good exercise is to go to, I don't know, Coin Market Cap or one of the overviews, Coin Market Cap, for example, and you look at the 2017, the top 100 coins, and then you look this year, the top 100 coins, and you will see that there is just Bitcoin left. Everybody else is not around anymore. That is, I think, a very important exercise to do, because that gives you the feeling for how dynamic the space is and how emergent the space is. And I'm sharing with my community every week what I'm buying and what I'm selling and the price. Not because it's always perfect, but because it shows them how to do it and how you get better over time. And so this week I've been buying Phantom, Luna, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Matic. I've also been buying Google, which, by the way, is going to split stock. So Google, you might want to enter. Not financial advice, but you want to have a sharp look at Google right now, and also Tesla, and also Amazon. So these are three that I always buy, whatever the price is, because the network effects and the market dominance in terms of market share. And this is why I do fundamental analysis in ongoing, because when you have a strong network effect and market dominance, there is nothing that can stop you. The general market was down the last weeks, but these things were unstoppable. Google was always on top of the Bollinger Band. Tesla has been pumping, and Amazon is unstoppable. So if you pick the right assets, this is where it makes sense to really have the long-term part of your portfolio. And then there are some quicker plays, shorter than 12 months, where if you can see patterns. For example, silver. Silver is always swinging between $22 and $27. You can play that. You can buy at 22 and sell at 27. Not financial advice, but it's so clear. You can look over the last 10 years. That's what it does. So that's a swing trade opportunity, for example. I don't do swing trades, but if you are into that, you can do that. And then there are other swing candidates like Amazon, etc. They stay always in the same range. Tesla is in a range between 850 and 1,200. Buy at 850, sell at 1,200. For example, if you see that it is such a clear pattern, and you don't have that always. That's why every day I do 1 hour analysis. And from time to time, I find these patterns. Well, then I bet on them and I go with them. That's example of this week.
Okay. No, I love that. Well, so we're starting to get towards the end here, but I wanted to talk to you about just one more thing. Obviously, again, if you pay any attention to the news, these things are everywhere. They were maybe one of the hottest things of last year. You have a specific stance on it that I'm very interested in. So I wanted to get your take on NFTs. I am sort of with you, or sort of in the camp that I believe that the technology is actually more important than the piece of artwork, for example. But I wondered if you'd talk a little bit about just your stance on NFTs, what you think, what they've done so far, what you think they're going to do, and what you think the future of NFT investing is.
I think NFT is a technology that long-term will be vital for identity. So one of the questions long-term, and I'm not talking about images of apes. I'm talking about what your passport is right now and what your passport will be in 10 years. I think that your digital passport or physical passport will be less important in 10 years. But you will have 8 to 10 identities in tribes, in groups, in communities where you really feel at home and you really trust and you really want to hang out and exchange and have transactions. And those will have one problem. How do you know that you can trust me? because you will not give away your data like you're giving it right now. Right now, you are giving away your data to Facebook, to Google, to everybody. Let's call this the stupid age. It's the centralized age where we are giving away our data. We will not do that moving forward because we have now better options. We have now trustless systems. We own our data. That's the age of autonomy. We own our data and we will not give it away. And especially not for free. So we will be in multiple communities that are to us more important than our nation state. And in those communities, we want to transact. And the NFT technology, because it's non-fungible and because it can tell you, hey, you can trust me, I'm trustworthy, without telling you all my life's data, will be a key part of that. Now, this year, I wouldn't touch NFTs because it's such a nascent field. Nobody really knows what's going on. Friends of mine were at NFT New York. They were in the thick of it. These are the insiders, right? Not even they have a clue what's going on. And so nobody has a clue right now what's going on. My only NFT plays are infrastructure plays. So what are the picks and shovels? What will be 100% needed moving forward? If you want to mint an NFT, what do you need? What is the layer one that you will need? What is the technological infrastructure that you will need? These are the assets that I'm buying, but I don't buy single NFTs because I think that's just the beginning of something. It will dramatically evolve and nobody knows how.
Yeah, fair enough. I wonder, just as a quick follow-up, can you tell us how to support the technology? So, instead of buying that ape, are there coins out there? Are there companies out there we should be backing? How do we find the technology providers or the people who will be leading what this becomes?
Yeah, look at what are the picks and shovels. So in Silicon Valley, when there was the gold rush, the best idea was, okay, everybody will need a pick and a shovel. Let me produce picks and shovels. Let me sell picks and shovels. That will be the winning strategy. And the same thing is in the NFT. Think about, how does the minting process look like? What do they really need? If a game wants an NFT, what does the game need? My answer is engine. That's a crypto infrastructure play, and you can buy the engine coin, for example. And then think of all the graphics and the GPU that will be needed. Rendering. Who will render all that stuff? How can you computate that? We will need 17 times the computational power on our phones that we have right now. If you have the best iPhone, the newest, you will need 17 times that. Who's going to do that? The iPhone cannot do that. We need something in the cloud where we can tap into that bigger computational power. One of them is render that I'm looking at right now. Render will provide that cloud. And so if you look at in different areas, you will find different things. What will be the decentralized Spotify? That might be Audius. So if I'm looking at ecosystems like Solana that can build some building blocks for people to build onto it. This is how I do my research. And whenever I found something, I share it on my channel. It's Simon Severino.
I love it. Well, cool, Simon. So here at the end, let's just sum up real fast with where people can find you, learn more about you, maybe check out your YouTube channel and so on.
We hang out at strategysprints.com. The tools and templates that we use, many of them are open source. You can download them at strategysprints.com. I just wrote a book. It's called Strategy Sprints. You can buy it wherever you buy books. And I have 2 YouTube channels, and this one that we've been talking about is called Simon Severino. The other one is called Strategy Sprints.
All right, cool. And we'll make sure to include all the links below. So thanks so much, Simon. This has been awesome. I really appreciate your time and your insights on these different things.
Thank you. It was fun. Keep rolling, everybody.
Absolutely. And thanks so much to everybody who tunes into the show this week and every week. And we'll see you guys next time.